Make myself pinned. There we go. Hello everyone, welcome. This is Discover Tai Chi. I'm Phil, and this is some Tai Chi for Limb Power members. So let's get started. Seated, standing, you all know the rules. I'm not going to over-egg them. I will start standing. Okay, gonna get started with the fountain or parting clouds, bringing the hands up, opening upwards, and then little finger edges, leading the hands and arms down. If I come a bit closer, you can see that the hands cross, and then they turn in front of the shoulders or the chest, and then we open upwards. That's it, and then down we come, nice and relaxed. Could be a breath in as we lift the hands and arms. And then a breath out as we just let everything relax. And if you can soften into your legs, I know that will be tricky for some people, but if you've got the scope to do so, then please do. Or there's just this general sense of softening on the way down. So even if you're seated or in a wheelchair, it's a sense of heaviness. So we often use the image of a little boat in a harbour settling down as the tide goes out. And then we have this sense of buoyancy as the tide comes back in and we lift. So even if you can just use that imagery to help guide your movement, that will do. I'm going to do one more after this one, just to get us going. Here we go. And then, again, if you sat down, just a swing of the shoulders. If you're standing up, you can shift some weight from side to side and just have this easy kind of swing and just shift of weight. Maybe it turns into a little step on the spot. And then we're going to come to a rest. And we're going to place our hands behind our backs. We've done this before, but clasp your hands behind your backs, nice and relaxed if you can. If you sat down, it might be that you just get to sort of hands on the sides of your hips. That's okay as well. And then we're looking over the right shoulder. And then we turn back, and then we look over the left shoulder. That's it. And then we turn alternately from one side to the other. And we just breathe very comfortably with that movement. We'll go once more to each side. And then we release the hands and arms. We can give them a little bit of a shake. And now we turn that turn into Wise Out, lifting the hands very gently and then relaxing back. Same on the left side as we turn to look and lift and then back. And now this movement does lend itself to a breath in if you feel like it, and then a breath out on the return. That's optional. And again, we're just making this turn as easy as we possibly can. And then we progress this movement by gesturing now with both hands on the same side. So that just gives us some more range of motion as we do so. Again, we don't need to lift the hands and arms too high. Can keep things very comfortable. Shoulder girdle relaxed and down. And you can breathe with this movement as well, quite naturally. That's it. And then once again, we're just going to have a little shift of weight, even if we're sat down. Swing of the arms. And then let me sit down. Let me join people who are seated for another movement. Gives me a chance to take my glasses off, which I left on. There you go. So, okay, we're going to clasp hands or wrists. Okay, and we're going to look through a window. We create that window, and let's go to the right. So I'm sweeping the hands to the right, lifting the forearms, looking through the window as we come round, and then closing the window. And then sweeping round, up, and then down. Very gently. Looking through the window, closing the window. It's one of those old sash windows you have to lift up and down. Good mobilizer for the shoulders. And then we go the other way, opening the window by rotating in the opposite direction and closing. So you can see we get some rotation. And again, we get some very useful mobilization of the shoulders. And because we're supporting the hands and the forearms, that gives us some level of stability through that movement. Should we do one more? My shoulders are beginning to get a bit achy, so I can imagine that yours may be also. We can come to a rest and then let the hands go. Have a little shake, have a little bit of movement through the seat if you sat with me or standing. Okay, so we'll keep a little bit of a focus on hands and arms, and we're returning to Wise Owl, that movement where we lifted both hands, but we're going to turn it into rolling arms or repulse monkey from Yang Tai Chi. So if we all turn to the right and lift the hands, and then we bring the right hand through as if pushing through water, push, push, push. And then we end up looking to the left. And now we push the left hand through as we go, pushing through gentle resistance. And now we're back on the right side. So we're back into that rotation. But we've also got this sense of resistance as we push each respective hand that lays behind us. Push it forward with the palm. Try to keep the hands nice and low. Keep the hands below the shoulders, and that will alleviate the shoulders getting too fatigued too quickly. That's it. Last one, whichever side you're on. Don't worry if we're out of sync. Bring the hands back. And again, little shake. Okay. Let me stand up. But again, everything can be done seated. We're going back to clasping hands behind us. okay? But we're taking a bow this time, okay? So we want a nice base created with our legs. If you sat down, again, see if you can just move away from the back of the seat if possible. Hands are probably more on the sides of the thighs. And then we're taking a bow. It's like saying, how do you do? So we just take a bow. We're not aiming to go too far or to turn it into a big stretch. We're just taking a bow slowly, gradually, and then we come back upright, just like that, nice and tall. And then once again, we take a bow. If we're stood up, it's about the hips or the pelvis actually moving backwards. If you could imagine that someone had put a strap or a belt around your hips and they've got like a bungee cord connected to that belt and they put a little bit of tension on that elastic, your hips would be encouraged to go back. So see if you can have that thought in mind or that feeling in mind of the hips being pulled gently back. Just maintain your balance as you do so. Should get a little bit of a stretch through the backs of the thighs, of course, but also along the back as well. Again, we're not aiming for a stretch, but we can't help but get one by just taking a bit of a bow. That's it. Lovely. Okay, bit of a sweep and a walk and a swing of the arms. So that hip hinge, as it's called in movement science, is really important. It's a movement that facilitates so much of our day-to-day activities, being able to take a bow, and especially if we've got lower limb prosthetics and above knee prosthetics or amputations, and we're using prosthetics, then the hip hinge becomes super important as a movement to facilitate getting things from the floor or just from a lower level. So it's a movement that's worth practicing. So much of the philosophy of what we do in Tai Chi is this sense of practicing and exploring movements that we do in day-to-day life. Sometimes they get called functional movements. Okay, let's return to this idea of clasping hands and we'll do wild goose. If I turn my back to the camera, again, people sat down, hands can start on the tops of the thighs or beside the thighs if you've got the scope to do so. And then we're releasing our right wing, so to speak. And it sweeps up and forwards, and we create this lovely arc through the hands and arms into the shoulder. And then we turn the head and the torso, and we have a little look under that wing. And then we unwind. And then we refold that wing where it came from. Back it goes. We release the left wing. And we do the same. We sweep it forwards and upwards, just above head height. And again, we've got that lovely curve into the root of the shoulder as we then make a turn to look under the wing. And then we unwind. And then we slowly refold that wing back where it came. And now we have both wings. Spread your feathers all around you. Nice hand-arm shape into the shoulders, and then just refold those wings back, just like a big white goose. Or if you've got swans nearby, go and watch for swans. They'll do that very movement for you at some point. Let me face the camera so you can see. So here's my right wing sweeping up. just sort of above head height. We've got this roundness, and then I'm looking under that wing, making a turn of the torso and the head, looking underneath and then unwinding. Again, a very useful movement for stiff necks, stiff shoulders. Here's the left wing. I'm watching the wing sweep upwards as well as it comes overhead and just up. And once again, I'm having a little look underneath, turning, unwinding as we do so. Here we go, both wings. So see if you can really let the shoulders open across the back so you get that nice roundness. And then slowly, slowly let the hands or the wings refold from where they came. Excellent. Good stuff. As I say, very good for neck, shoulders, stiffness. And I'm going to take a seat again, join people seated. And we're going to cast some cares away. Because blow me down, we've got a general election coming, haven't we? In fact, it will fall on a Thursday, which is the 4th of July, if I remember. Well, I know it's on the 4th of July, but I'm pretty sure that's a Thursday. So you all may be very busy down at the polling stations and things like that. So let's take our right hand and we're going to cast our cares away. Off into the distance, sweeping that hand to the left, and then we pick up the left hand and we do the same. Cast some cares away off to the right. Okay. Well, let politicians do what politicians do for the time being, and we can just focus on some nice movement. From one side and then to the other. And again, we're trying to be nice and long through each respective arm sweep. Again, we get some nice mobilization through the shoulder as it moves in this big arc of a throw. I'm going to do one more to each side. Last one. And again, we'll have a little shake of the hands and arms. Okay. We're going to bring hands and arms, tuck them in, make very loose little fists. If I turn to the side, you can see. And we're going to do very little slow motion punches. We're going to extend one arm, doesn't matter which one you start with, and then slowly draw it back. You'll notice that my hand turns over so it arrives with the palm facing down, and then it returns with the palm up. And I just alternate from one side to the other. But we're aiming for a smooth spiral of a turn with each hand and arm rather than a quick turn either at the very beginning of the movement or at the very end of the movement. We're trying to create this spiral or a corkscrew. Again, whichever kind of analogy works for you, but the hand turns over smoothly from start to finish, and then on the way back it reverses through that spiral. So not quite so easy to coordinate as it first appears. Okay, so now we're going to bring the legs in a little bit. So if you're standing up, it might be that you can just move that right leg a little bit further forward. This is my prosthetic side. So I'm going to push my right leg forward, even though I'm sat down. And we're going to extend that right hand out along with the right leg. Really roll the shoulder and then bring the hand, arm, and then the leg back into position. And then we're going to do the same with the left leg. See if we can get it forwards. And then send out the left hand and arm. Extend and roll through the shoulder. And then slowly bring the hand, arm, and finally the leg back into position. So we can do that seated, as you can see, as we do these slow motion extensions of the hands and arms, but we're now bringing the legs in a little bit. If I now join people who are standing, as I said, it could be that it's just a little bit of an emphasis. Here's my right foot, just a little bit of an emphasis, and then rolling out that hand and arm with a turn of the shoulders, and then coming back. Got to do a bit of shift of weight, and then do the same with the left. Again, take your time, but this is quite challenging. I know it is. So that's why we're going very slow. We're just going from one side to the other. Same arm, same leg. That's it. So when we get to the Christmas quiz, you need to remember movements that involve the same arm and same leg are called ipsilateral. There you go. Just remember that for your next pub quiz. As I say, we'll do a Christmas quiz. Fab. So, it doesn't take too much imagination to see that we can use the opposite leg to the hand. Okay, so right hand's going to spiral out, but this time I'm emphasizing the left leg. Again, seated or standing. I'm getting that left leg forward now, and then sending out the right hand. That may feel more stable. And then we do the same, right leg, left arm. Little emphasis if we can. I know it's tricky to organize that weight shift and change of emphasis, so just go very slowly. Take your time to get into position as we do so. So this is called contralateral. Contralateral movements. Opposite hand to leg. And the general rule is that we tend to be more stable and we're more able to manage tasks, be it a sporting task like throwing a ball, or a daily task like reaching for something in the kitchen, like a plate or a bowl or a cup or a pan, if we use contralateral movements. We're more stable, we've got a better opportunity to use our strength if we can, than if we try to do it ipsilateral. So that's something that we explore. Okay, I'm going to do one more on each side, because I know this is difficult to manage with that weight shift from one side to the other. But again, that's the idea. The idea is to practice a skill slowly, mindfully. But hopefully then, if we do it over time, translates into day-to-day activities that we use that skill. It just begins to be part and parcel of our movement repertoire or movement vocabulary, that we've got these movement skills. That's really so much that is at essence in Tai Chi. Tai Chi coming from the martial arts of China, and all of these interesting movement skills. Crikey. Need to begin to bring things to a close because time is flying. So let's take a wider stance if we can. Okay, bigger base of support. And we're going to push the hands forward or the fingertips forward. My hands are coming towards the camera. Pick the hands up and draw them towards you. And then turn the palms down. Press. Just like that. Let me turn a little bit so you can see. I'm pushing the fingers forwards, lifting the hands up, and then gathering towards me. Could be a breath in, and then I'm just relaxing everything down, pressing gently, turning the hands, scooping forward once more, drawing in, and then pressing. And then we send the fingers out to the sides, and they lift, and they draw in, and they fold at the elbows. And we come back to that position of pressing gently downwards. Same again, out to the sides. Again, could be a breath in. Each time we lift the hands and draw them towards us, and then we just let the breath go, sung on the way down. And then finally we go large, big sweep of the hands overhead, and there's that press or drop of the hands, down we come. But now we're sweeping the hands out, up and overhead. We can look up even, and then let the hands fall down. One more time, lifting, could be a breath in, and then down. And this time we bring the hands one on top of the other. And we come to rest. If I come nearer the camera, right on the lower abdomen. Some people like to link the thumbs. So if that feels comfortable for you to do that, link the thumbs if you wish. And then we take a breath. Let me move back a bit. We can rest our eyes. We can be very aware of our body in place, be it seated or standing. We just take a moment just to gather ourselves, take a few breaths. And then when we're ready, we just let the hands go. That's our signal to suggest that we've finished. And we have. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope that's been a useful kind of little exploratory session of movement, very slow, purposeful, mindful even, that facilitates explorations of how we move in the day-to-day world. So let me stop the recording. I'll say bye-bye to those people who are going to watch later. And if there's any questions from those people who are joining me live, here's your opportunity.